Welcome to episode 3. Sorry, that's my bad. Is this a podcast? Probably not. I'm starting today's podcast a little bit kind of I don't know how to describe it. It's just feeling really knocked off kilter. And I'm going to read you a statement as to why. I read this about 20 minutes ago, and I'm still just kind of like stunned by it. So the time of recording this is 10:15 on the 22nd of March 2020. And this is from the Greater Manchester Police. And it says, earlier today, on Sunday the 22nd of March 2020 at 2:34pm, police were called to Queen's Park in Bolton following reports that a child had been stabbed. Ambulance and police attended and found that a 7-year-old girl had been attacked by a woman with a knife. The child has sustained extremely serious injuries, and despite the best efforts of her family and medical responders, she sadly died a short while later. A 30-year-old woman was detained by a member of the public immediately after the attack and was arrested by police at the scene, initially on suspicion of attempted murder and subsequently for murder. The woman is not known to the family of the little girl. It then goes on with statements from the constable, and it says that they are aware that this woman has issues with mental health, and that is obviously one line of inquiry that they're going to take. But yeah, it's that news. It just really shocked me. So yeah, that's why I'm still just a bit like, I don't know, not with it. However, I highly doubt that any of the family would be listening, but my thoughts are completely with the family. I have no idea what they're going through. I have no idea how they've coped so far, and I wish them all the best for the future because they have my utmost respect. Sorry, I had to cough. I managed to get to my mute button in time though, that's a good thing. So, in other news, we come on to talking about tougher measures, warning basically the UK might go on a complete lockdown if people continue to ignore the current advice. Now, the current advice for people in the United Kingdom is stay home. You can go out for shopping, for exercise. That's kind of it. We have shut all of our leisure industry, so pubs, clubs, bars, gyms, unnecessary shops, that sort of thing, closed officially. But we've seen images over the past few days of literally thousands of people going to the beach, going to these holiday resorts, and it's like, what are you doing? McDonald's has also announced it is to close all UK restaurants. This is because it wants to protect the well-being of its staff and its customers. Now, prime example of it here is that McDonald's is another one of them companies that will literally do anything they can to make money, and they're closing. Like, this is the company that is open Christmas Day. You know what I mean? It's It's madness. This company do anything they can to make money, and people are still taking the piss and just going out. And it's like, no, you've got to stop this. Parks are closing as areas urge tourists to stay away. ITV has stopped filming Coronation Street, Lorraine and other shows. Primark in the UK is going to be closing stores until further notice. Nicola Sturgeon, or Jeanette Cranky as I always refer to her, has said that life should not go on as normal. And Olympic chiefs have confirmed 2020 decision deadline, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Now, it is a difficult thing having a pandemic. Of course it is. Not everyone is going to be doing what you want them to do. And, you know, I understand little things like that. However, I can't understand why people are just ignoring this advice. The UK already has now hundreds of dead people because of coronavirus. In fact, one of them that I was reading earlier on, the man had passed away today. His family weren't allowed in to see him, to say goodbye. They weren't even, they weren't allowed in the room to see his body. They can't hold a normal funeral. They can't hold a normal wake. That's what coronavirus does. And people are still going out. I just can't understand it. I really can't. And so, yeah, the threats are coming out from the government, and they're saying, well, basically, if you're going to ignore our advice, we're going to shut down. We will shut down the whole of the country if we have to. And this is all to stop it getting worse than it has to. Or will do. Do you know what I mean? It's... I don't know. A very small minority of people are going to ruin it for the rest of us. At the moment, we still have freedom. And that will be taken away from us because... I can't remember if it's today or yesterday, but Italy's lockdown got even tighter to the point that they are now no longer allowed out for exercise. That's how bad it is. And when you look at the figures, how many people are infected, how many people are dying, the United Kingdom is about 2 weeks behind Italy. In some respects, we're less than that. So this is big. And all as I can say is, if you are one of the people who have been going out, then you are selfish. You could be helping to spread coronavirus. You can't see it. It is airborne. And you're still going out and being around people. You're not practicing this social distancing, which is to stay 6 foot or 2 meters away from any other person, not to go out in more than groups of 10. And then we're going to wonder why the country has to go and shut down, and why potentially thousands of people can die. Another thing that I heard today was off an NHS member of staff who works in a hospital, and they said that it is really difficult trying to work with people who've got coronavirus because their stats are all over the place. 1 minute their heart rate will be too slow, the next minute it's literally pounding out of their chest. You can't breathe the same air as them because the coronavirus is in the air. So you have to have like two sets of gloves, full body mask, a spit guard over your face, obviously your own breathing apparatus. And it's like, okay, those doctors, nurses, whatever, they're going into work and risking their life to treat those people. And all as we're doing is being asked, stay home, sit on the couch, do whatever. Just, don't go out. And yeah, big chunk of the country can't even manage that. So make of that what you will. But these are trying times for all of us. We will get through it one way or another, and there will be a better day tomorrow. That's all I can say. It's scary going through it, and I know for a lot of people it does have a real negative impact on people's mental health. Of course it will. Isolation is meant to kind of be a bit of a punishment. That's why prisons adopt it. But we're having to go through this, and one of the helpers against certain mental health symptoms is exercise. And at the minute we can do that, just about. But soon that might be taken away from us. And that's why for a lot of people this is going to be a real difficult time ahead. So, yeah. I'm going to be doing what I can on this channel. I'm going to hopefully be uploading more. And I know that there are certain celebrities, people on Instagram, that sort of thing, and they are doing what they can to combat the boredom. One of them the other night was Jason Blumhouse of Blumhouse Productions. He had a viewing party of a recent film of his. I don't think it was still in cinemas. I don't think it was, but I can't remember what film it was now off the top of my head. But he had this viewing party, and people could come along, watch the film, communicate with him, find out little bits of stuff about behind the scenes, and it was really good. People enjoyed it, and that helped for a few hours to alleviate people's boredom. Now, one of my all-time favourite films is coming up to celebrating its 10th anniversary, and it's a little film called Four Lions. And for those of you in the UK, you may well have already heard of this film. It was never really massive from what I remember, but it is one of the best comedies I think I have ever heard, or seen, should I say. So the idea behind the film is that it is it is 4 terrorists, and they are trying to plot this suicide bombing that they're going to do, and it's sort of their adventures along the way, and it just takes the piss out of terrorism. And for something so serious as a topic and a threat, kind of comedy needs to come of it. You know what I mean? So it's just a brilliant film, and one of the main actors in it is a man called Riz Ahmed. And in the film, I remember watching the film and going, oh yeah, he's quite a good looking guy, and he's good at acting, whatever. Then I found out, I think a couple of years ago, that he's kind of like this singer rapper type person, right? And you think, oh god, no, it's going to be more drivel. Oh, it's going to be horrible. He's going to be really bad. And then when I listened to it, he's quite good at it, don't get me wrong. But the stories that he tells in his music is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. He's releasing a new album at the minute, and I believe it's called The Long Goodbye, and it's basically, the whole album is his reasoning for falling out of love with the United Kingdom. And I know instantly a lot of listeners here will be going, oh, that sounds shit. But I've listened to one or two of his live performances that he's done recently, and the tracks actually sound really good. So he is on his Instagram tomorrow night, so it'll be the 23rd, and he's doing a viewing party of Four Lions with another one of the actors from the film. They're going to be talking about stuff that happened in the film, like behind the scenes, and it's going to be really, really good, and I cannot wait. So, yeah, that's just going to be really good. So, his name is Riz Ahmed. If you want to search him on Instagram, then please feel free. And that's kind of it for this bit of the podcast. The news is all kind of the same at the minute, really, isn't it? You know, it's coronavirus this, coronavirus that. There's very little good news out these days. Not good. So, towards the end of the last broadcast, and I said about how I was going to tell you things that happened on my San Francisco trip that I either didn't get on camera or sort of didn't really come across properly on the camera. And I got up to our first day, and if you want to listen to that, then please go ahead and listen to episode 2 of Is This a Podcast? And you'll be caught up. So, let me just have a little cough, hang on. That's better. Anyway, so our first full day in San Francisco started off at about 3:30 in the morning because we'd fallen asleep the night before with all these plans of, you know, we'll do the unpacking later on, you know, and we'll go out and we'll get some bottles of water and some snacks for in the room and blah blah blah. Didn't happen. We just fell asleep on the bed. So 3:30 comes around, we both wake up, and I'm like, Mum, I feel wide awake. And Mum's like, do you know, I feel the same as well. So I was like, well, you know, it's really early in the morning, but there's nothing stopping us going and exploring the hotel and stuff like that. I'm going to go downstairs and have a cigarette anyway, so, you know, come with me. So she did. And we both went downstairs, we went into the street, and we were like, oh my god, wow, look at this, it's amazing, blah blah blah. And yeah, we got ourselves ready, and we were the first ones in for breakfast. Now, part of the prize was that breakfast was included in the trip, and it was, don't get me wrong, but I had no idea how it worked. I'd sort of looked up online about the hotel, and some guy had said, oh, you know, it's a buffet style breakfast, but it's a complete rip-off, it's a tiny buffet, and there's nothing here, and blah 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 blah. So we go through to the restaurant bit, and we're just sort of waiting, and then this waiter comes over, and he's like, oh, you know, welcome down to breakfast, blah blah blah, you know, is it your first night? And we're like, well, yeah. And he was just the nicest waiter we could have ever wanted. And keep in mind, right, the Intercontinental Mark Hopkins Hotel is upper class. Like, it might only be 4-star or whatever, it is amazing. You could wear a suit and feel underdressed. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. So me and my mum are not like that at all. So we go in, we get sat down, and right, I should explain this first. So there is a saying that used to be said years ago, where if outside has got like a little bit of a chill, then that would be called parky. So someone would come in and go, oh, bloody hell, it's really parky out there. And you just sort of know, they mean like, you know, it's a bit chilly, or, you know, something like that. So we go in, and this waiter has a really strong accent. And he turns to my mum and goes, "Coffee, ma'am?" And my mum just turns to him, and she's so serious when she does it, and she just goes, "Oh yeah, it is a bit." And then there's like this silence. So he looks at me, and I just go, "Yeah, I'll have a cup." And my mum carries on taking the coat off. I'm like, "Mum, do you want a coffee?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'd love a coffee." So the waiter goes, "Well, that's what I said." And she went, "Oh, sorry, I thought you said Parky." And we laughed about it, and it is still something to this day that we laugh about, because it was just so funny. Like, really, Mum? Really? Anyway, so he comes over and he says, like, "Oh, would you like some orange juice?" And blah, blah, blah. And we're like, "Okay, yeah. What do we do for breakfast?" Because ours is included with the room. Because he was explaining it to us. He's like, "Well, if you order off this menu, then it's this price and blah, blah, blah. And if you have the buffet, then it's this price. And, you can bill it to your room and pay later and everything." And we're like, "It's supposed to be included." So he explained it to us, and he said, "Oh, basically you can have anything. Help yourself to the buffet. There's a little Chinese section over there. And there's, fresh juices. They're different kind of every day, but we make them fresh. And there's this and that. And then when you're ready to leave, you can go over to this area. There's coffee machines to do takeaway coffee, or you can help yourself to a soda, maybe a little apple, or, a piece of fruit to take with you and that sort of thing." So we're like, wow, okay. So we go up, and this buffet breakfast, it has a whole pastry section. Well, hello me. There's my new home. This pastry section is amazing, and they actually have a breakfast pizza, right? It's a proper nice pizza base, and then it's got a layer of cheese, then there's sausage, there's bacon, I think there was fried onions, there was, oh my god, it was just amazing. I really enjoyed it, as you can tell. So we both filled up our plates, and then we were like, "Oh yeah, we will have an orange. I wonder where the orange juice is. I didn't see any up at the buffet." And we see some on a side table in a big jug. So like, okay, we'll just, you must just go over and help yourself. Anyway, he comes over and he says, "Is everything okay?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're just, getting some orange juice." He's like, No. If you want anything that isn't on the buffet, just ask us and we'll get it for you." And we're like, "Oh, okay, we're not used to this sort of thing." So he laughed it off with us, and he explains, you just sign the bill it to the room, and then when you check out, it's obviously all on the system, so it catches up with itself, and you won't know anything. So we're like, "Oh, great, thank you." So breakfast was amazing. We did 2 rounds 2 rounds of breakfast because we were really, really hungry. We hadn't eaten properly. I know that they give you food and snacks on the flight, but you're not full afterwards. I mean, be better off with a KFC. Anyway, that's besides the point. So we leave the hotel, we leave the restaurant, we go up to the room, get all of our bits together for the day, and we start going in to San Francisco. Now, a lot of this day I caught on camera. So if you want to go ahead and watch it, then obviously you just need to search on YouTube for Life with Bev San Francisco, and it'll come up. San Francisco is amazing. It is a stunningly beautiful city. It really is. It's not what you expect it to be. It's kind of a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. And I think if you are there and you walk around it, I think you'll know what I mean. Like, we looked on Google Maps. My mum wanted to go to this focaccia shop, and they only make focaccia. They make 1 load a day, and that's it. When they're sold out, they shut up shop. That's it. And they are really well known for doing really good focaccia. So I was like, "Oh, I want to go here." And I managed to get a little clip of it in the video. But that focaccia bread is I don't know how to describe it. I've never had anything like it. Really, genuinely amazing. Just, God, it's so good. So, yeah. And then, of course, we walked around a little bit more. We went and saw the church where they filmed Sister Act. We went over to Pier 39. We watched the Sea Lions. I got dragged up into a magic show. I bought some new shoes. And yeah, and then so that bit was amazing anyway, you know, all the stuff that we'd done during the day. But our first night there was also going to be our first night watching Cher. Oh God. So the actual Cher tour, I had not really seen it all, but I had watched clips on YouTube. So I kind of knew what to expect, but you know, you're just there to soak up the atmosphere. For some reason, Cher had cut, or whoever is in charge had cut a lot of the show. In fact, Cher came on stage at, I think it was about 9:05, 9:10, something like that. The whole show was over and we were out of the arena by 10:15. Yeah. It wasn't even an hour long. It felt rushed. And yeah, there was a huge chunk that they cut out from the show. It's the bit, if you do watch it on YouTube, it's the bit where she does Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves, Half-Breed, all that sort of segment, cut. Gone from the show. No explanation, nothing in its place. And I'm like, is that it? Really? I mean, Cher herself, yeah, she was good. She sang every note, and yeah. But I think towards the end, it just kind of looked like she really could not be bothered. Because she comes out in this outfit, and it's a pair of jeans, a little top, a little jacket, a red wig, and that's it. She looks ready just to go home. And she's singing Believe to that. Now, you watch her previous tours, like the Farewell Tour and the Believe Tour and all of that, they make a big deal of Believe. It's probably, well, it is her biggest selling song. And it just felt like, no, Cher can't be arsed with this. She had one sort of monologue part in the show in which she talks about touring around Europe and how, you know, she's funnier than the audiences were finding her in Europe and all this sort of stuff. And it was, you know, it was nice because you actually got to see Cher. And then, of course, she does the usual monologue, which is about how her and Sonny first started, and then when she turned 40 and all that sort of stuff. And then the show goes on. But when you come out, you're like, really? Is that it? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we saw the show in the Chase Centre, which is was brand spanking new to San Francisco. It's home of the baseball team. I can't remember which one. And pardon me. Yeah, it's a very, very, very impressive stadium. Really impressive. I really enjoyed it. Because they've got like escalators that take you up to the seats that we were in, which is, by the way, don't sit on the upper bit at the back because you get blinded by the lights when they're on. Jesus Christ, they were horrendous. Anyway, so we come out, and obviously part of the prize that was included was transfers to and from the gig. And our driver on the way to the arena had said, you know, I'm just letting you know now that, you know, they built this massive arena next to a hospital. And we were like, okay. He was like, yeah, it's, you know, it's madness. But The main bit of madness that I'm going to tell you about is they built it with no parking. And we're like, what? He was like, yeah, there's no parking, there's no meeting point, basically. And they shut the roads off around the arena when it's kicking out time. So I'm going to try and get as close as I can, and I will text you when I'm in position. It'll probably be between 11th and 12th. So we're like, okay, that's good. Because even you listening to this, you are as clued up as where 11th and 12th is, for as much as I was, right? I'm just like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever, there's a concert. So we come out, and we're like, right, okay, it must be in this direction. So we start walking off, and we see 11th. So we're like, yes, we're nearly here. Nice one. And we're walking along, and the roads are all closed. We actually got shouted at by the police at one point because we nearly got run over by Cher and her entourage, because all the limousines and, you know, the big security guards and everything, they were all leaving. And so that would have been quite a nice claim to fame, actually. Probably a nice claim for compensation as well. Anyway, so we walk along and we think, right, okay, well, this next one is going to be 12th. And it's not. Like, this street actually has a name. So, like, okay, that... It can't be... Because that one is actually called 11th. This one isn't called 12th. So, we'll just... You know, it must be the next one. So we walk down more. Nope, that is 13th. I'm like, shit. Where's 12th? So I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So I had to ring our driver, which, bearing in mind, my mobile phone over there was £1 a minute to receive a call, £1 a minute to make a call. It's not cheap. So I rang the driver. I'm like, where are you? And he's like, I'm here. There's loads of people. I'm like, right, okay, that doesn't really help us because we're now having to walk back to the arena. And we don't know where you are. You don't know where we are. This whole thing is a sham. We're basically going to be out here overnight. And eventually, he sees us. He beeps, flashes his lights, everything like that, and he picks us up. And, you know, he's one of the nicest drivers I think I've ever known, right? And he's asking how the concert was and all this sort of stuff. Well, by this point, this is like going on to, what, 11:45, midnight sort of time. And, yeah, so we're going along, and, of course, our sort of mentality for the trip had been, you're only going to be here once. So, sleep when you're at home. Stay awake. Like, take as much in as you can on this trip. And we did. So, of course, we're asking about the city, and he says, well, you know, have you seen Union Square? And I'm like, no, but I have heard of it. He's like, okay, we'll do a little divert, we'll go through there on the way back. So we go through, and this is towards the end of November, right? And Union Square has a massive Christmas tree up already. There's an ice skating rink. There is the world's largest Macy's store. I think he said there was the bank or just something. And this area called the Tenderloin. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, that's weird. It's named after meat. And he's like, yeah, it's not for anything good. And so we're like, oh, well, okay. But our hotel is literally around the corner from there. So we drive up, get dropped off, thank him, you know, because he has been really polite and everything like that. So we get out, and I have a smoke, finish off the video, and then I go up to the hotel room, which is when we kind of finish off the focaccia bread, because, oh God, it was so good. God, I can't even remember what it's called. Ligueria or something. Ligueria. I think that's the name of the shop. I can't remember, but it's really good. And anyway, So the Tenderloin area, this goes back to the days of Prohibition, and so that area is filled with a lot of bars and I assume clubs, I don't know. But during Prohibition, obviously alcohol was illegal, and the police would often come down to do raids, and the cops were kind of a little bit more corruptible back then, and they were paid with tenderloin meat. That's what paid them off. So the area became known as the Tenderloin, and it still is known as that today. However, we did get a little warning from our driver, which was, do not go to the Tenderloin of an evening. It is not safe. Like, even for residents in San Francisco, we don't go there of an evening. You will find a lot of violence. You will find a lot of homeless, and the bars are kind of like the dive bars. They're not good. So we're like, okay, yeah, fine, we'll stay away. And so we went up to our hotel room, and we finished off the focaccia bread, and then I really don't know why I only found it then, but I found a bucket for ice, and I'd seen someone getting out the lift earlier on, so I knew that there was an ice machine a few floors down. So I went and got us some ice, and I'd gotten some plastic glasses type things, pint glasses, at the arena because I'd wanted a drink or two, and so we had iced water for during the night, which was really, really nice. And that was basically day 2. I did manage to capture quite a lot of it on camera, but obviously there's bits that I didn't, and I know that some people are interested in the bits that I didn't. But yeah, the Cher show we weren't really that impressed with. We have seen better from Cher, I'm not going to lie. If you watch the Living Proof / farewell tour that Cher did, it still holds the record breaker. She was on tour for 5 years or something like that. It was amazing. It was incredible. And I think that was the best show that she ever did. Because this one just doesn't match it. It's a shame, really. But yeah. So that is where I will end this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please have a little look in the video description bit. There is a link to my giffgaff if you would consider joining. It is one of the best and certainly one of the cheapest mobile phone networks in the United Kingdom. I believe that they are trying to expand one day, but it isn't at the minute. But if you sign up using my link below, then I will get some freebies, and so do you. There will be £5 credit on that SIM card when you get it and activate. And every little helps, really, doesn't it? So just order a SIM. Why not? But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I will speak to you next time. Bye.